East Hampton School Board. We are live.
Good evening and welcome. Can I have a motion to open the meeting?
I make it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Yeah, so first we are going to do the budget workshop, right?
Yes, so we are going to start with Ms. Smith in high school. I know she has a lot of people here with her.
I just wanted to start by thanking the coordinators and for putting all of their department information together, and also for thanking Sam with his patience in terms of going over this with me multiple times. It really, when you put it all together, it really does show how it takes a village, and rarely you see all of the fruits of our labor in one packet, but it is nice to see. So in terms of what I'll do is I will just walk you through what I would consider the significant changes, of note, and then any follow-up questions. In terms of supervision and contractual on page 1, there is nothing new per se there, but you do see a bit of an increase simply due to increased costs. So those are our standard expenses, but anticipating costs for next year. One spot where you will see significant increase that I think is worthy of discussion is on page 7. And that is in our science department. So just to give you some context and understanding of that, in 25-26 school year, living, am I going too fast? No, you're good? Okay. Living environment is changing to life science biology. That course, what is new is old again, we're back to biology, and then earth science is changing to earth and space sciences. And with those changes in coursework come new labs and anticipated new materials. So what we are hoping to do this year is plan for this 2 years out. So as you can see there, we've requested around $19,000 so that in year 1, which would be next year, if we are able to purchase those new lab materials, that would give the teachers a grace period of a year to do the labs, wrap their head around the new pedagogy and the changes, with the thought that then the second year, which would be 25-26, all of that would be in place the year that the students actually have to take those new Regents exams. So that is our thinking in terms of buying them, over the course of next year once guidance becomes more clear. But if the board is more comfortable, we could certainly break it down over the course of 2 years. But our thinking was to plan ahead and do it 2 years out, just so you have an understanding there.
Let's flag things like that to come back to for discussion later.
Yep.
Any of those?
Absolutely. And then you will see an increase for BDS, and those are in 2 separate locations under the art budget. That is, they are asking for 2 one-time increases. As you know, we have been really trying to build that program. Our BDS under Mr. Quickho has become a huge part of the culture. And so they would like to purchase a new desk that is on the bottom of page 1. It's roughly a little over $5,000. They are also requesting new lights. That is on page 5. That is under arts, art materials and supplies. That's roughly $3,655. BDS has been become sort of the heartbeat of the building. It is a way
Yeah,
to, spread everything that is great that is going on. They by no means are turning into divas with the, they don't think, they've gone Hollywood, but they do think particularly, the additional lighting or the new lighting would really help sharpen, their productions and, make them a bit more professional. And so if they have to choose, they would prefer the lights over the deck if need be. Ideally, both, but just so you have some understanding there. And the other spot where you will see increase, and I just want to point out that it's explaining those spots. That is on page 4 under field trips. And you will see that there is a significant increase there, and there's 2 reasons for that. In some cases, we have moved trips over from other departments, either the building level department or, for instance, the World Food Prize, which our science research students are going to at the end of the month at Cornell. That was in the district budget. We have now moved that over to the high school budget. So some of it is similar money, just moved in a different spot. And the other reason that you'll see a bit of an increase is, the second reason for that is some trips are paid for by fundraising and donations. And absolutely, we of course appreciate the generosity of the community. I just also recognize how hard that can sometimes be for our community organizations to raise that money. So I always like to budget for those trips just in case, but being fully honest, it's budgeted for, but in many cases not necessary. But I just like to have it in reserve if
That's what I was
needed.
gonna ask, is like the Hampton Jitney, $9,000. Some of that's offset by.
Often offset by, for instance,
Right.
for with donations. For instance, the Greater East End often donates to that trip, and also Kendall Madison donates to that. So
Right.
that has covered it this year for the 9/11 trip.
Right, that one also is donor based.
Exactly, yeah. So we could perhaps cut down there, but I just like to have it in there if need be. Yeah. So those are the significant areas. In terms of moving to pre-AP in English and honors, English and social studies, we do have some monies reserved for training for that. It's not significant. And those are the major kind of significant pieces that I just wanted to point out.
What about the calculators in math? I know I see they have them in here, so we're doing okay with keeping a good supply and getting them back. That was always a problem.
Exactly, yeah, we are doing okay, and we did not have to order them last year. So that's why it is slightly up from last year. We're doing okay with keeping track of them, and you will notice a slight increase there as well, in that we are ordering for a new AP pre-calc review book for that as well. So materials and supplies is up slightly for math, but we didn't have to order either of those for this year. So that's why they're in for next year.
Can you, my last question, and how much is the graduation this year?
So it's our contract, Marcia and I were just talking about
Like
this
10,000.
today. Our contract is through next year. So we have it in for 60,000, and that's accurate. Yeah, so it is certainly an
So it's
expense.
up quite a bit then.
Who is interrupting our board meeting? Young lady, Ms. Fromm, come up. No. Come up front, Ms. Fromm. That's a good thing. That's it. We only have 2 hours. No, stand over there. What is taking place?
Okay, so go ahead. Leah won LISAP round 2.
Now, what is that team? Now, where will your dad not be going?
And he will not be coming with myself and Dr. Vito to Los Angeles. His birthday.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
It is, I
Great job,
don't know that
Latoya.
we've ever had.
So good.
We've
Not that
never
I
had
recall.
one.
Almost cried. My God. Huge. Yeah.
No.
Are we doing Charlie next?
Dr. Soriano?
That's right.
Oh, we're gonna-
Have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
So for us, our budget was actually no increase. And they may say, well, how is that possible? Because it says 33%. Because it's very good work. Exactly. So these are all Samisms, what we call it. It's just for our budget, it was a reallocation of items that have been in either other places or need to be put into the middle school budget. So I'll start from the last page, page 6, and work backwards. The our proposed 135,918, which is the 33% change, reflects Sam and I talking about reallocating a number of these categories. So $7,600 in health was moved because it was the 5K in Manhart from Cappy to the middle school, which makes more sense. Also, the musical and the Science Olympiad, which was a little over 22,000, was also moved in. And then we had some office supplies that was cut out last year that was re-added back in. So that basically comes out to that increase up to 135 from 101. And, you know, like Sarah, we have $9,500 in there for Project Hero, but we've been lucky in the past, and in fact, just this past year, the foundation decided to underload. So it may be that we have almost $10,000 money in the budget, but we can't guarantee that every year. So if they do, that would be great. But they just did last year, and if you recall the discussion a couple of years ago, we decided that it would be wise to put this in the school budget and have it be in the 7th grade curriculum every year.
Yeah, because you can't guarantee with donors that it's gonna be funded consistently every year, and if it's something you wanna keep, let's keep it in there. then.
Exactly. And I do want to keep it. It's great for our school. It's great for the students. So it would really be best if it just stays. And that's the story of the middle school budget. So no real increase, or actually no increase, until Sam meddles you. Oh, but a good way.
It's a Wi-Fi
In all
double
seriousness,
cam.
State.
Wi-Fi document cam. is
Oh,
standing.
yeah.
With science.
It's basically a platform that you hold over a document that you're working on with the kids, and then it projects it across the screen. So you can go to any desk and say, oh, look, let's look at Christina's and put it on
Right.
yours and show your work. They're great.
Okay.
Really useful.
Just following up on Charles. We are required to file with the state report showing what we're spending by year. And prior to this reorganization, the business office staff, particularly the treasurer, would have to go through all of these lines and reorganize stuff to be in compliance with the state standard. I'm trying to move us to just do what the state wants, and then we don't have to reshuffle the cards, every year. It makes filing state aid reports much simpler. It makes much clearer presentation to ourselves, to ourselves. And so that's why we move to the state in compliance with what the state expects us.
And it's transparency. It is what it actually is. So even though I was teasing and calling them Samisms, it's really appreciated because that reflects the true budget and what
Right.
the spending is.
I'm very happy to be this good. Please don't look for any supplies for your building. I think this
Everything looks the same. Anybody have any other questions?
Okay. Ms. Cunit?
I can name. I would like to point out a couple of areas in John Marshall's budget where we do see an increase. And I don't think any of this is going to be much of a surprise if we start with supervision regular school. I think the percentage shows higher than the actual dollar amount. It's 24.063% increase, but that's really a $3,000 increase for the pre-K assessment that I had discussed when we talked about the pre-K program and what the universal pre-K grant would like to see us using. So now the budget reflects that new assessment. So that's that $3,000 increase. And then under elementary field trips, similarly, it's like reallocating funds back into the building. But a bulk of that increase is putting in funds to pay the Historical Society. We've been really growing our relationship with the East Hampton Historical Society. They're currently working with our first, second, and fourth grade students. Tim and I had the opportunity to meet with the Historical Society. We feel strongly in continuing that programming. Stacey Myers, who's the Director of Education for the Historical Society, does both push-in classroom lessons as well as the on-site field trips with our students. And she aligns all of the activities and trips to the New York State Social Studies framework or the New York State Science Standards. So we're really pleased with that relationship and would like to continue and start to help pay for their services. They do also write grant for grant funds, so it's not totally covered by what the district is hoping to be able to pay them.
So it's an increase, but you're also doing more with them.
We are. Yeah, we are.
And if I could add, one of the things, they worked like pro bono for the last couple of years, but it also balances because of their location. 99% of those field trips are walkable field trips, so we're not not locally, but also nationally. We're ensuring that our kids are going to have both the Hampton, in the history that so important to all of us, but also ensuring that they're going to have a hands-on off-campus experience because between the Clinton Academy and multiple farms, they can walk, and they do, and so it's a guarantee that last minute.
I remember they were great trips too. I remember going on them with my kids.
It's like a history version of the SEALs program that was successful at the middle and the high school. Great program.
And then lastly, I think the only other increase is classroom supplies, teaching regular school. And again, that's just accounting for increase in costs for next year. They are the supplies that we order yearly. Our classroom supplies, our going home folders. I don't think you're going to find any of those materials to be anything new.
Karen, when you say like just increase, we're referring, and Charlie and everybody, we're referring to inflation.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the handwriting for that?
No, it is materials to part of that handwriting program is this year we purchased classroom journals for all of our classrooms. I don't know, have you seen that? Instead of journal writing in the materials that come from our ELA curriculum, we all felt strongly that we wanted our students writing in their marble notebooks that were lined properly, so that's part of that handwriting.
And then water and drinking cups. Didn't we give them all their
we are still, I still budget for them. We encourage families to bring a reusable water bottle. We have ordered them on our own. We've had donors help order those bottles, but there are still many occasions where students don't have a reusable bottle. So we just still order cups and make them available.
Right. Anybody have any other?
Thank you, Karen.
Ms. Allentown, special education.
So far, I just formally welcome Dwyer. Hi. We tried to stay the same budget as much as possible. There are two areas that increase every year. One of them is BOCES tuition, and the other one is private school tuition, and then the other area, sorry, 3 areas. And then the other one is contractual services with our overage for OT, our physical therapy provider, and our overage for speech. Right, speech.
But Cindy, I know we say this every year, these are IEP mandated, there's nothing here. The BOCES increase was, I'll say it publicly, I think I said it last meeting, was utterly ridiculous, 3.96 across the board, but I don't know how much it was
The highest
specifically.
has been,
Yeah.
it keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they don't subject themselves to the 2%
Yeah.
cap.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
And, as always, like say every year,
We have no choice.
create programs here so that we can service our students locally, but sometimes if we have
Right.
needs that they have, we have to utilize.
Yeah, I mean, everything in your budget to me is,
And thank you so much for that, really, and you're doing them.
thank you.
Ms. Masterson?
Thank you, Mr. So, I'm sorry I sound like going to puberty bad. Time from March. Sorry, Sarah. I know. I thought just got up, so I was like, but that's okay. Got up for some good reason, I'm gonna put those out to you. The contractual stuff, the portable school boards, and there's a cable, we need a cable for the YMCA for the swimming program. That's because of what we use to time our swimmers. $1,000, there's no way around it, it's something that. The second line is for the middle school, we're gonna need to meet goals for both soccer and lacrosse. Over at John Marshall, those are things that we need. One of the biggest things here, you'll notice is $22,000 for portable basketball hoops. Now, what those are is we could go if you want and buy those pieces of crap that you have in your yard, or we can go and invest in the ones we used to have that we got rid of last year. That will
Where
probably
is it
about,
for?
this is the elementary school.
Okay.
We don't have, when we're having like bitty basketball, they bring in the basketball hoops. They are literally backyard basketball hoops. The ones we had to access last year would be old, big ones that you'll see if you go to the University of Maryland and they come down, they can be adjusted for heights. It's a great teaching tool, but it can also be used if you need for any of our middle school practices and stuff like that. It's also something that is going to last for 20 years. It's not something. Now, look, if you want me to go and find other ones that are cheaper, we can. This is one that is not the most expensive one that you can buy, but it is a good quality one that's going to last us for years. So you're seeing a huge increase in that. Med hardball, we subsidize that for the instructor. Our PE supplies are in there. Next year, it's going to be mandated by New York State that boys across and girls across will have a shot clock. So we're going to get portable shot clock. That is running the best price at $5,000 for this. It's a good quality piece of equipment though, and it's serviced by DSM, which is a company that we utilize there.
And you said that's mandated.
That's a mandate thing. We have to have a shot clock, or we can't have it. You'll see our different breakdowns of all our impact testing, huddle subscriptions, golf courses. These are all things that we have to utilize every year. They go up depending on, the costs of different things. But all the companies we've dealt with have been wonderful to work with. And one of the biggest things that has gone up this year that you'll notice is Section 11 fees for officials. The officials have been negotiating their contract, and we came to an agreement, but it was a 6% increase from last year to this. So that's when you'll see a big increase in that. You'll see different things, all the different things for the supply. Sam's office has been phenomenal. The way that the supplies were listed for us were all over the place. So I worked with Sam to have them aligned so you can see that next year we're going to need uniforms for cheerleading, uniforms for field hockey. Football helmets is something that is non-negotiable. 10 years ago when we bought new football helmets to start this program over, helmets last 10 years. Football helmets cost on average up to $100 a helmet. I'm not putting our kids in helmets that aren't rated 5-star helmets. I won't do it. So that's where you're going to find a big nut, and that's something I cannot avoid. because those helmets were, they were rejected, but.
Well, and the uniforms we kind of had over the years on a rotating basis, that we weren't getting hit with all at once.
Right. And
You have a couple of teams every year that
you
are
can
getting new
see for
uniforms.
next year, you're gonna have cheerleading, you have field hockey, boys and girls volleyball. We have replacement uniforms for soccer every year because the amount of student athletes we're having, and Donovan Governor does an amazing job. And he's like, I just need some replacement, I wanna keep the amount of kids I have. So it's been great. Track uniforms is something that you need to consistently find because they wear out very easily and they wear them for free.
Right.
So these are things that we need to do. Any other questions of me?
Not a question, but just a note for the sports physicals, and I know you keep that amount in there. But we always tried to make a push, because that number used to be like 30,000 because parents were confused.
Yep.
Because they felt that they had to have the sports physical done here, and they were also going to their own physician.
Yes.
So, we kept trying to tell everybody to get the word out that if you are going for your school physical, the doctor can sign off on the sports physical page.
Without a doubt.
And then you don't have to come here because that
have-
also costs us
Yes.
money.
We have a form that goes with those kids that they get. Our school nurses have been amazing, both at the middle school and high school, just dealing with that physical, and then they're very knowledgeable.
Okay.
And I know Barbara Tracy's been working really hard now that she's,
Right.
going to retire, and Wendy Beard has been phenomenal. So we definitely push that out.
Yeah.
We tell them, there's limited space and you guys coming in here, and we try to get them together. I had a parent.
Yeah, because they don't need it. And also sometimes the parents were like, they assumed that this was something that they had to do. And then it's also extra time and work for them anyway. So they're happy to know that if they're going to their,
And
doctor
also,
anyway, they don't.
a lot of parents emailed me last night. Her son is gonna play a spring sport. His physical expires at the end of March. She's like, is he gonna be eligible? I said, in all honesty, if your physical expires on the 12th of March, you're good for the entire season. Now, I also emailed her in the same email and said, my suggestion to you is to still get his physical because children change every year.
Right.
And keep up with your son's physical. And she was very appreciative of it. But physical lasts the entire calendar, the entire year of that sport,
right.
Not the whole year of that sport. So spring season, the 11th is our day to start, middle school to 25th. Anything after that, we'll cover that. And then,
Thank you.
Is Dubois Rivera.
Hello. I don't get up to the podium a little. I just want to actually start by saying thank you. This is my first year here, and as the board, these wonderful people beside me have been so welcoming and supportive in the first year. It's a wonderful place to work. I'm just very appreciative. Oh, thank you. So this year we have seen a pretty steady increase in our population. And at this point in the year, we're about 20% more L than we were in the beginning of this school year, which is not uncommon, but definitely an increase. And the expenses that you see here are mostly reflective of that and needing to replace materials and some smaller items like that. Just a few highlights would include our language line contract. We're working with them to provide translation services for parent-teacher conferences, guidance, but we are relying more heavily on our in-service, district staff to translate written documents because that's a little bit more financially viable. But we do still use language line for open phone translation. Another new item that you might notice is our field trip that we tried out this year. It's a field trip with the LOSA conference in Southampton, and we sent 34 juniors and seniors to this conference that was about preparing them for career and college readiness, but they were bilingual parents. So sometimes students that do not get access to those kinds of programs were able to get that information.
which is a really wonderful opportunity that we hope to continue next year. Other things you might see on here, we are super excited about the rollout of dual language in fifth grade next year. So some of the costs associated with that are training for the teachers that are going to be teaching in that program and some of the costs materials for that.
And similar to special education, most of these are mandated services. It's not, we don't have it, not that we would make that choice, but we don't have much of a wiggle room.
There's not a ton of wiggle room.
And if you have more students and the costs are up for everything.
To be honest, we just had that at the high school, and you know, Sarah probably didn't want to hear what she wanted to hear, but she basically put together a team and did an incredible amount of movement of kids, which, to be honest, when you look at it in a situation of budgetary, you know, a tight budget that we're operating right now, it was definitely not an ideal move what she did. We talk about it today, but it had to be done. And you have to serve the students. They're required to get the service.
And we had no way of predicting who's going to walk through our doors.
Nope.
There.
Right.
So we had a little bit of an uptick
Oh,
in enrollment in
yeah.
enrollment this year.
That's wonderful.
Anybody else? Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So I mean, as we, you know, just, you know, where we are just to the board and to the public, you know, obviously you saw what we're proposing to run our academic program. We are still at this point significantly over, you know, where we need to be, significantly. To be honest, like if the board sat here and we were able to go absolutely line by line, by cutting all of these budgets, I mean, literally to zero, you would still be significantly up to go. I think we're operating in the multi-million-dollar range. Again, we talked about last meeting, the decrease in tuition students to the tune of 1.2, is that fair to say? Healthcare increases, some special education increases that are mandated. We're significantly higher. I think, you know, as we go
Also
forward.
the state money.
The
too,
state money,
700,000.
700,000, state money.
Narrowly focusing just on the reduction in state aid and the fall away of tuition for $2 million. And just to put some perspective, I think as I was said on that you look at, if you take, for example, the entirety of the budget that Karen just presented to you, it represents 0.2% of the overall budget. So, you know, we're in a place where, in order to preserve the program that we have and run the district that you want, we're going to be looking at significantly over, you know, where that's happening.
Well, and years ago, we had actually a little pie chart that showed how much of the budget was actually in the hands of the board to determine.
Yeah.
And it used to be
Yeah,
close to 20%, and then it went closer to 10%. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think that chart
that aren't
is
mandated.
helpful, but I think it also kind of by section.
right.
You know, I think you have the board's position with Adam is that you want to run the same program next year that you have this year, then we, you know, need to prepare ourselves and accumulate the fact that we are going to. There's no way a reduction of $2 million in tuition, reduction of $75,000 in state aid. And the other increases that we highlighted in the past, including health insurance, general property casualty insurance, policies cost of 3.9%. On and on. It's just not.
No, I think the big piece here is, you know, and be responsible and just to say it to our community, you know, when we go into this process, obviously our number one priority is our students, the academic program, our staff. We do talk about and think about the taxpayers and tax increases as we go forward. It's not something we just poo-poo and throw out. Obviously, this district hasn't pierced the cap in 10 years, whether we decide to do it, and we still have time to adjust our decision. You know, my big piece, and I was, you know, just jotting down points on the budget, is, you know, our kids in this school district, other school districts have gone through an adverse time over the last 3 or 4 years with COVID. I personally, as the superintendent of the school, am not willing to risk dismantling our academic program to get under a cap at this point. I just don't see it as a prudent educational decision. I understand the financial impact it could conceivably have. We don't know what that is yet. Sam and I have not, rolled that out to the Board of Education. But to talk in terms of the money that Sam has mentioned, the 2, 3, 4 million, you are looking at significant impacts of, extracurricular, co-curricular, and me dismantling the academic programs in both, specifically secondary school, reduction of period days, which would dismantle basically the elective programs of the school. You're looking at staff loss and whatnot. I personally do not see myself in the next 2, 3 weeks coming to this Board of Education of the community and saying, let's do that. Let's eviscerate our staff. Let's eviscerate our program. I don't think it makes any logical sense right now. I mean, it's just not, I don't think it ever makes logical sense. But I think where we are now and I guess the financial prudence that this board has exhibited over the past and how, cautiously it's planned, the situation now is just basically a confluence of many, many factors.
Right. And the numbers are large enough that we're not going to be able to cut our way out of it without doing significant damage.
Yeah, I mean, you cut Sarah's whole budget, you can take away every penny the high school gets. What's that, 700,000? Great.
0.6%.
Right.
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 And it's not to minimize, as I mean, it's not to minimize the expense of that. Obviously, we get every dollar. This is free. Safeguard the taxpayers, but you will not achieve the savings you need to rebalance. During the program, we're hit on too many revenue hits and too many expenditure hits that are not negotiable for us to be able to cut that.
Right. And for example, like the state aid cut of the 700,000, whatever the cut may be, even if they restored that cut, it wasn't expected, nor will you see, my guess, I'm predicting, obviously the budget's always due April 1st in New York State. I can't see them adopting that budget and figuring that out by the time you adopt your budget in April 16th, maybe 18th. Yeah. So, yeah, so you're not even gonna know, you're gonna have to plan that we don't have that money anyway. It doesn't matter. You're down that 700,000.
Everything else is educating our children is definitely need to go on.
And some of the things, like medical insurance, the percentage increases, it's not just this year, it's been 3 years in a row. So
it's not just 3 years in a row. I mean, health insurance
it's
has
huge
gone
numbers.
497%. It's
not
when
sustainable.
the state only permits 2% plus exemption increase.
Right.
And yet there's other expenses run away 7, 8, 12, 22, 25%.
Right.
Insurance for certain retirees is going to go 24.9%. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, and you see just from perspective, we've already started seeing some, and you've seen articles in Newsday and whatnot, some of the other districts falling, meaning, massive layoffs. And, you're going to just continue to hear that over the days. And I'll be, very honest about this. When you get into doing that, obviously what it does to the culture, what it does to the program, in our district, in East Hampton specifically, if that ever happened here, and I'm not threatening anybody here, just being honest, what that will do is it will cause incredible amount of damage to the recruitment of educators out to the East End, which we already have a difficulty doing.
Right.
But once people start losing jobs, and again, I don't think we need this. I think our community supports this program and understands, this is not something we did. We just, we're not, our contracts are in line with other people. We have a recruitment program. But it'll be very doubly difficult if we had to start, doing that. And I'm not planning on recommending that. I mean, none of our thoughts. We'll get there. Okay. Lots of good things.
News of the schools.
Yes, I'd like to show a video before we start. So just in case you didn't see this, and we'll talk about it a little later after, but I wanted to start the meeting off this way.
aboard this 40-foot racing boat named Firefly. 29-year-old Cole Brower has spent 4 months at sea, surviving terrifying moments like this. When massive waves tossed her across the cabin, badly injuring her wrist. All this is just some saline solution. She even put in her own IV when dehydration took hold. Now she's closing in on becoming the first American woman to race nonstop around the world alone, competing in the Global Solo Challenge. She's the only woman and the youngest of the 16 skippers who started the race last year. More than half already dropped out. She zoomed with us from the middle of the Atlantic. You wear so many hats on this journey. As well as you have to be able to do everything. You need to be able to get up even when you're so exhausted, and you have to be able to fix everything on the boat. The last 24 hours, I've been so angry. The journey grueling, no stops on the roughly 30,000 miles from Spain down the west coast of Africa over to Australia and around the Cape of South America before returning to the starting point. A finish line Brower is expected to hit just days from now. Have you ever been really scared in a moment? I can feel the boat is deteriorating. I can just feel that things are starting to break down. Okay. For the 100-pound powerhouse from New York, sailing is a career she's been chasing since college. I pushed so much harder than someone said, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, okay, watch it. An attitude she hopes will inspire young girls in a male-dominated sport. It would be amazing if there was just one other girl that saw me and said, oh, I can do that too. One woman now navigating a new chapter in history. Emily Ikeda, NBC News. Thanks for watching.
As you can see, and I'm sure everybody knows, I mean, Cole graduate of Stanford High School. Incredible. I mean, this doesn't even begin to tell the story about Cole and what type of kid she was, obviously, in this school. This is incredible, but she's a great kid. And we'll talk a little bit later about, how we kind of want to recognize our prominent alum. So here's the schools. Cool. Would you like to go first? Karen?
Yes.
So as I'm sure you know, March is both Women's History Month and Park. So it's a being partner, and we have a ton going on in the building to celebrate Park this month. This week is our Scholastic Book Fair. Huge thank you to our PTA and parents who come in to volunteer their time to help make the book fair a success. In addition, we have our author's visit on March 22nd. We're delighted to welcome Darren Sardelli to the building, who will meet with all of the student body, and our students will have the opportunity to purchase some of his books, and we will make sure that we're also adding them to our library, so students who aren't able to purchase the books can certainly take them out of the library. And then lastly, in relation to Park, we are establishing the book pantry. So as you know, when the Little Free Food Pantry was being put into place, we had a lot of efforts come together to actually build the structures. And in the district, we had an extra structure or two. And so one of them has now been placed. It has been installed. It is right in front of the teacher entrance at John Marshall. And what we've decided to do is to task the 5th grade leadership crew in conjunction with Miss Danielle Schuster, with our librarian. So the leadership team will meet with Ms. Schuster on a weekly basis. They'll check the inventory, and families can leave a book, take a book, and we're feeling very confident that we'll have enough donations to keep that and to sustain it. And as soon as the pantry is stocked, I will send a parent square out and inform the community that we're ready to go. But I just think, for those of you who are at John Marshall in the afternoon, once springtime comes, our parents really do congregate outside of school at the end of the day. So if kids are running around, they can pick a book. In the summer, if students are on the playground, they'll have the opportunity also. So it's a fantastic idea that I think came through the board. So we're happy to have that put in place, and we'll share that out with the community as soon as it's up and ready to go. And then lastly, parent-teacher conferences this month. Things start to move so fast this time of year, but on the 20th and 21st, we'll have our parent-teacher conferences.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Doctor?
So March is always I think what Karen said, March is always such a busy month. I think it's the hardest month in school. It's sort of doldrums out here. A very long month, so March kicks off our winter games that start tomorrow, where we have a Wednesday quiz, 10-minute quiz game for the entire school. The participation is very high. Our PTA really goes all out for the prizes. So we have 3 large iPads. We have gift cards to Starbucks for $25 each. We have $25 gift cards for Hampton. We have a bike. We have so many items, and the kids love it. I would say it's probably, yeah, well, the staff participate, but no prizes. So I think Sam tried to get involved, you know. But this starts tomorrow, and March is the perfect month for it because the kids really love it. So the first category is animals. So I'll send out to parents at a parent square what the questions actually were, and they're engineered so they learn something along the way. You know, they're structured so they'll get a few. But I said sometimes the person that wins the iPad only had 5 right out of 10. And then sometimes it's 10 correct. So it's a lot of fun and good for March. Also, we have our parent-teacher conferences that begin tomorrow and last for 2 days. I think I talked last time about our Mad Heart Ball, which was coming up, Mad Heart Dance-Off, and that actually occurred. I think it was wonderful. Again, participation was extremely high. Over 90% of the building was there, which I love to see. And it gets incrementally better bit by bit each year. We're now serving dinner to all the kids, so we get pizza, which is a big hit. And you know, my hat's off to Lee Bryant or Tracy, who are real prime movers in making all of that happen. So that will be, you know, when Barbara retires, that will be a loss to us. But she has promised that she will volunteer next year and help out do some of the pieces, which is nice. And then the following week, we have our musical Newsies on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And then we have a student performance at 8 Friday night. So a lot happening.
Thank
you, Joe. Yep.
So our big news from the weekend was an incredible production of Anything Goes. You know, just such talent among our students with their singing and dancing. And as they mentioned Sunday in their speeches, they did the same original tap dancing as they did on Broadway. So it's really just an incredible production. I have to give Katie Schreck a huge kudos for her vision and her dedication to Bonnet Theater. You know, she was in Bonnet Theater when she was here, and she's really getting her stride as a director and her team coming together, and clearly they are gelling and it shows. And what I'm so impressed with is she just creates a space along with the assistant directors, you know, a space where students feel like they belong and they're part of something good. And that really came through, you know, Dakota Quackenbush at her, they all give their senior speeches on Sunday at the last performance. And she mentioned how, you know, in the fall and the end of the summer, she's having a tough time, but it was really knowing that play auditions and the play were coming up that got her through. And so to me, that's, you know, what it's all about. And so it was just a packed house every night, even despite Sunday, which was, you know, or Saturday, which was biblical rains. And we were also able to pull off a student performance this year. And that was the first time I was able to do that. I know we've done it in the past, but it was really wonderful to see the students cheer for each other at the end of the production. So all around, just incredible. And it actually leads me to my next topic, which is college acceptance list for the class of 2024. And it's really great to see, students who you've known since ninth grade, sometimes longer, choose their college and choose their direction. And a few students to connect to Anything Goes have chosen acting and theater, to pursue down the road. So that's very exciting. So with our college acceptance, with the hard work of our students and families and our guidance department, we have a incredible array of colleges. So Colgate, Cornell, of course, Emerson College, High Point, Hobart and William Smith, my alma mater, very excited about that. Johnson and Wales, it's nice to see the fruits of our labor of our culinary program sort of coming together. The athletics coming together, a student going to Oberlin for lacrosse, right? This Tinley's, yep. And then of course some of the trades, the SUNY system is widely represented, the SUNY and CUNY system. So that's excellent. Salve Regina, Westbury, University of Virginia, and some of our students are still deciding, but these are, where they've gotten into. So a really impressive list, and just kind of brings together, it's nice to see students make that decision and choose that direction over the course of 4 years. So, and I believe last year I emailed this to you to share.
I already did.
Oh, you got it. Of course, yeah. Sorry. Old news. And then we do have March Madness this week. So the Madness is on. We have our huge event Thursday night and Friday. Again, another opportunity just to see students in a different light, students who you wouldn't expect to take the stage, singing in front of the whole school. So a wonderful event, and again, to fight off the March doldrums. And then, of course, our big news, which is hot off the press, and I'm sorry this is a bit rough, as you saw before, Leah winning round 2 of LISAC, which means she officially goes to you don't know yet, sorry. To compete in LA for the International Science Fair. Oh, well, yes, Build On happens. They are presenting March 19th. So I didn't mention that today. So they will be presenting to you in March. But I do want to mention too that Dylan Passion placed today in LISAC. Meredith Brown got 3rd place. They all won something, and Cameron Mitchell got honorable mention in LISAC today. So all good things.
Great.
Great. Thank you.
So we are 2/3 of the year through. It comes to athletics year right now. We're ready to start our sport reports on Monday. We've turned out already so far. Wendy here has been wonderful to work with, and we're really looking forward to a great place. And hopefully this rain's over. Any questions?
Yes.
Unified bowling is currently going on right now. Call the office tomorrow, and I'll send it out to the entire board schedule. And bowling starts, festival starts in May. Okay. So I'll send you both all the start dates and all the schedules and everything.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thanks.
So public comments. Do we have any callers on the line?
We have 0 callers at this time.
You can just give us your name.
Good, Stan.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, my name is Bill Delano, Iconic Pictures, and I'm an independent filmmaker, and I'm also the marketing director at CME and outreach coordinator at Creek, and we met during the pandemic. Yep. And I just first want to see what this felt like, and want to say I really enjoyed the meeting, and I was struck by the part about the budget and what's happening, and I just wanted to say in terms of communicating what's happening to with the public when it comes to any increase with the budget. And I don't know the details about how that works, but with Michael Clark at LTV and myself, I'm sure when it comes to communicating to the family, to the public, that if there's anything I can do to help with that process. I've interviewed tons of people about the pandemic, and I just wanted to echo what you said about the importance for our kids, for everything they went through in the last 5 years. It's either like senior year, then just like totally picking up at the end of it. I think it's the most important time for everyone to come together to communicate how important it is. Not shake up things. Right? I think it's been a good evening and first time I've been to a school board meeting, so I think I got a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was-
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion for?
I make the move.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Superintendent's report and recommendation. Instructional appointment, special education teacher. Recommended that the board approve the instructional appointment of Karen Petrowski to the position of a special education teacher, grades 1 to 6.
Make a motion.
Second.
Like the-
All in favor?
Aye.
Recommended that the board approve the amended instructional appointment of Urban Reininger to the position of a computer science teacher, all grades. May I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Second. And Urban is here.
He's been through,
Yeah.
I mean, I think if we could do this any different, we would.
Right.
We love you.
Right.
But Urban Queen here, started our computer science program.
Yeah.
Our coding program has been incredibly instrumental in engaging kids, a club for female coders and engineers.
We were one of the first school districts out here
Yep.
to do this, and it was a large part.
But there was no certification,
Yeah,
so Urban basically worked on a permit, and they finally have the certification, which she, I believe, has. And now, unfortunately, how many years now are you beginning it?
This is my 8th year.
Yeah, you will begin its probationary period.
You were the guinea pig, though, because
That's right.
you were the first person, probably one of the only for a really long time operating under that requirement.
Right, at the state level, there was nobody that had to do it
Right.
when I did it. So, like, there was no way to do it. So when I did that, I was,
So, Urban, right now, how many people you think in this state have that certificate?
it's gotta be really low, because it's,
Right.
this is the first year they've offered it, and
Right.
most people didn't enter the program prior to that.
They had it's not funny for Urban, but it's someone with a distance teaching license, they apply
Right.
to get, let's say I had a social studies license, which I do, I could say, I also want to teach history, and I can get that license as an extension. But Urban didn't have a teaching license prior to that, which is why he was permitted. So they finally created the pathway to earn a certificate, which was interrupted with COVID. So his permit is no longer, it's just a process. So he'll end up being one of the first who has a real certificate as opposed to a transferred in one from a different.
Right, the other one's that.
It's a long process, but I mean, I think Urban's teaching all the classes, two rather successful advanced placement classes and some feeder classes in robotics. We got elementary, we've done a coding group, after school club, for various students, one, the Awesome Club, we do that for the females doing coding. So a long time coming, and when your tenure was
Will he have to go to new
interrupted by
teacher?
maternity leave or any other kind of process, it's just gonna be he'll give us something to talk about in 4 years.
Congratulations.
It's been a pleasure working here, also. And even though it felt weird, it's like I was at a private school where I was about to be fired next week. But that was 20 years there. And I'm 8 years here, and so this has been a great challenge, and it's been amazing.
Thank you.
Very, very thankful.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just have to wrap it up.
All in favor? Recommended that the board approve the non-instructional appointment of Melissa King to the position of account clerk. Second.
Replacement.
All in favor?
Aye.
Memorandum of agreement, recommended that the board approve the memorandum of agreement between East Hampton Union Free School District and the East Hampton Union Free School District School-Related Professionals Association concerning a September 2024 retirement. I have a motion?
Make a motion. Second.
We caught another person who wanted to retire basically a month later, so we had to write it up.
Oh, so you just had to
Yeah.
redo the paperwork to
Yeah.
include. Okay. All in favor? Letters of retirement. Recommended that the board accept letters of resignation for the purpose of retirement. I'm gonna go ahead and read all their names.
Yep.
Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education accept the letters of resignation for the purpose of retirement from the following employees. Ralph Naglieri from his position as a high school assistant principal. Kathleen Brown from her position as a special education teacher. Linnea Budd from her position as a physical education teacher. Sylvia Schulman from her position as an ENL teacher. Brian Smith from his position as an elementary school teacher. Barbara Tracy from her position as a school nurse. Kristen Pope from her position as an elementary school teacher. Karen DeFranzo from her position as an TA, effective opposed. Desiree Albright from her position as a paraprofessional. Cynthia Darenberg from her position as a paraprofessional. Amanda Hayes from her position as a senior office assistant. Luis Raul Munez from his position as custodial worker 1. Elsie Nelson from his position as a custodial worker 2. Mary Powell Brierly from her position as a paraprofessional. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second? There's a lot of loss in there.
A lot of history.
Yeah.
There, and we will again, the board and the public, we will do our regular meeting, do our tenure meeting. We've separated that from our retiree meeting, and we will do retiree meeting the same way we've done it the last few years.
And we had five at the last meeting, right? 4 or 5.
Yeah, that'll be on top of this. Could be a long night. So, but they were well deserved, and
Yeah.
to listen to the people who know that best, their supervisors, colleagues, is going to be a very moving. Hopefully, they all come.
All in favor?
Aye.
Interscholastic coaching appointments. Recommended that the board approve interscholastic coaching appointments for the 23-24 school year. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First Amendment to Employment Agreement for Assistant Superintendent of Business. Recommended that the board approve the First Amendment to Employment Agreement between East Hampton Union Free School District and the Assistant Superintendent for Business dated March 5th, 2024. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
So this is, we've, obviously very pleased with Sam, and the district has benefited from Sam's presence. Here, we redid his contract. Sam came in, and we had to adjust a number of things. I think, from my perspective, we have a very, very talented business administrator in this district. And as you can see, his services are desired by neighboring districts. So we're entering, obviously, it was reported that we're entering an agreement with Springs, and we're providing services for them. And Sam's part of that. So it's a win-win. Great news for us.
Absolutely. All in favor?
Aye.
A memorandum of agreement waiver of participant threshold requirement. Recommended that the board hereby waives the minimum threshold of participants required in the memorandum of agreement between East Hampton Union Free School District and the East Hampton Teachers Association regarding the 23-24 retirement incentive dated February 6, 2024. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second. So what we had to just modify, because originally it was 10 employees, we had 9, we rolled Ralph into that, we counted as 10, so we made 10, so obviously made sure, made everybody whole there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Annual budget vote and trustee election. Recommended that the board approve the annual meeting, budget vote, and trustee election of the East Hampton Union Free School District to be conducted on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
annual school budget vote and election appointments. Recommend that the board approve the personnel appointments for their services at the district's annual school budget vote and election to be held on May 23rd, 2024. Can I have a motion?
I'll make my second.
Standard, all in favor?
Aye.
Donations. Recommended that the board accept with gratitude the following donations. Resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District accept with gratitude the following donations for the 2023-24 school year. A donation from the Bonnet Booster Club, Inc. for the purpose of providing a Big Bubba Pro backstop flag to be installed on the high school campus's varsity baseball field. And then a donation from the Kendall Madison Foundation in the amount of $5,857, and a donation from the Greater East Hampton Education Foundation in the amount of $6,000 to be collectively used towards a tentative East Hampton High School student trip to September 11th Museum, New York City. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby authorizes a budgetary increase to the budget line of in the amount of $11,857. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Second.
All great stuff.
Yeah.
All great stuff.
Thank
Very
you.
appreciative.
And I think this was started every year. Most of the from that, and it's really been nice and supported by other members of the community to keep this going.
Yeah, it's a great trip. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contract agreements. Recommended the board approve contract agreements for the 2023 to 24 school year. Should I read all these?
I'll go over them. One was for auditing purposes. We wanted to make sure some numbers were right in our building with things. The number two, Sam can tell you about.
It's required to push some of our grant money.
Number three is our part of the agreement, the temporary, well, I want to say the first primary agreement with Springs for them. Springs has already approved it for business services. And the fourth thing is finally our agreement with the East Hampton Village on where SROs and school resource officers. This gives the village time to start recruiting because it's going to take time.
And the shared services is a great thing.
Beyond great.
Can I have a motion?
I make it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Budget line increase. Recommended that the board approve budgetary line increases for the 2023-24 school year.
Make the motion.
Second?
This is the money for the retirees coming out of the Evlar Reserve account, which our district has.
Transfers. Recommended that the board approve the attached. Oh, I did that one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Just have to wrap up.
No, all in favor.
Thank you.
So old business.
Not much.
So,
Oh, now, okay. Recommended that the board approve the attached budget transfers for the 2023-24 school year. All in favor? Now, old business. Have any old business?
no, just a
New business, East Hampton High School Alumni Achievement.
So as you saw, as just a little taste, obviously we did polls recognition. I met with Sarah this week. I've spoken preliminary with Lynn. What we're going to try to do is Luke has already created an alumni page. We're really looking for special, not to diminish college graduates and things like that, but we're really looking to highlight great alumni achievements and report on them, hopefully once a month at board meetings. Sarah, I think, will probably, with guidance, and Sarah probably, a lot of it, Sarah, communicating, get information out to our alumni. They'll respond to her. We'd like to post some of these things, on the website so the community can see the great achievements of our alumni. So we're going to see how it goes and kind of fine tune it as we go forward.
So when you say a page, it's going to be a page on the website?
Yeah,
or?
it's going to be a website page.
Okay.
Yep. So once we condense the story or whatever snippet about it, we'll post it up on the website. So people can see what our alumni going on. Ideally, it would be nice if an alumni association was developed out of this, and then they took it and moved it there. Some of the larger schools have that and have very, very comprehensive pages that really need a lot more attention than we possibly did. But I think this is a good start as we continue to report on it. We'll see, maybe that goes. Maybe somebody reaches out and wants to take it on. Kind of like the Booster Club developed. I mean, that's how Phonic Booster developed from the Coaches Association and things happening,
Right, because that was just sort of organic, like if we know about it, like when Amanda Calabrese had an accomplishment, like if we know about it, Sutton Lynch. But if, the community can get involved and the alumni and, maybe who would be the contact person?
I think Sarah, I think reaching out to Sarah. Okay. I mean, we'll talk at the high school, that's where we'll go, high school first, and then we'll go from there. And the other thing is we just a Moody's rating thing that we received. Sam, do you want to explain what we just got?
Moody's Investor Service issues called issuer comments. It's basically a short statement on district's financial position for investors to look at as we sell debt. It reiterates and restates that our issuer rating is AAA, which obviously is the best to achieve. It summarizes where we stand in our net financial position compared to the AAA. So it's a testament to the state of finances of the district.
Also, thank you to Guildhall.
Oh, yes.
They invited us to a tour and lunch, and we had a great discussion, about current collaborations, what they've been doing, and we had some ideas for some future collaborations that they were very excited about. Things like having the ability to do master classes with our students, to do portfolio review, which for our juniors and seniors is a huge stress. So to have somebody professional looking it over, and things like when they do the art in the park again. Everybody remembers the controversial goal that was in the park. I think in another year they're going to have another installation, but we talked about maybe getting our students to do something for that. So thank you to Guildhall, because it was really.
And hopefully, fingers crossed, we might talk about possibly hosting a board meeting when they're done. We got our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Maybe do a little board meeting there. We talked about doing it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
The theater part was not finished yet. So it was the only thing we didn't get to see, but that would be a great idea to have one of our meetings there when they're doing their grand opening.
The student exhibit there was phenomenal.
Yeah, it really was.
It really was.
Super.
We definitely
A lot of talent.
Yeah.
Students. There are teachers.
Teachers and our students.
And they hoped that they do something with the theater and music.
Right.
Theater is done.
Yes.
So that would be also.
Yeah, they were very enthusiastic about doing things and further collaborating. You collaborate a lot already, but so thank you to them. Public comments. Do we have any?
We have no callers at the time.
So, motion to adjourn then.
Make the motion.
All in favor? Thank you.
For coming in.